This is the Dove Lady coming at you again with another video, which I'm going to put something in the title of this one about the Mandela Effect, because that is kind of what's getting a lot of attention nowadays, and it is very odd. Things are not what they seem to be. It's like we're discovering that our reality is very subject to being changed. And there's so many scriptures in the Bible that have been changed, and I know I know that they've been changed, because I do remember some of the ones that have been changed. I can't deny my memory. I'll give you a for instance. For instance, the lion shall lay with the lamb. Well, now that is the wolf shall lay with the lamb. And the oft-said saying, judge not lest ye be judged, is not that way anymore. It's judge not that ye be not judged. And there's bukuls of them, just one right after the other, some more obvious than others. And people are very, very, very upset, because how can words in a book change? And they pull down their Bibles that they haven't even looked at for years, that have been on their shelves, and no one's had any access to them. And in that Bible, that old Bible, and this is the King James version of the Bible I'm talking about, the scripture will have been changed as if by magic. Well, I've read a lot of metaphysical books, so I do know that I have often read that there are other realities, parallel realities. I'm pretty sure Seth spoke of that in some of the Jane Roberts books. I've yet to look that up, but I'm going to. But for some, it's like, oh no, I can't believe that, especially among the Christians that really are into worshiping Bible scripture. Some of them won't believe that the words have been changed, because that would give too much credit to Satan, and so they don't want to make out like Satan is stronger than God and able to change God's very words. And so there kind of some infighting among certain Christians about, has it changed or has it not changed? Well, I have a personal opinion about that, in that I've been told, well, you don't believe the way you should, so therefore you're going to hell. Which doesn't make me fear, because I don't believe in hell, and I don't believe in all the words of the Bible, just a very few. But it's awful when you think that a person should imagine that you deserve to be tormented forever because you did not believe something the right way. I mean, that is so, that if that were true of a God that would do that to you because you didn't believe right, then that would be a monster of a God. And when I read the scriptures in the Old Testament, I see that God is a monster. He has done many horrible things, even to his own people, even to the point of saying to them, if they didn't keep his commandments, he would cause them to be in such a famine that they would have to eat their own children, and other such awful, awful promises of all the bad things he would do to them. And that God killed many people just because they didn't believe the right way. But he used people to kill these people. He used his own chosen people to go into the cities of people, not to convert them, but to kill them. Men, women, children, the unborn. Everything that breathes, he commanded them, kill everything that breathes, even their animals. So I've never been too fond of the God of the Bible, even though I've read it in the past, and I'm reading it again some these days because of these changes that are happening. One of the changes is kind of funny. There's a scripture that says, my name is jealous, and it's God speaking, you know. It's like he's a jealous God, but he says, my name is jealous. And so people are like, oh no, his name is not jealous. Well, his actions show that he is jealous. Any God that would say, thou shalt not have any other gods above me, is a jealous God. And if he would kill because someone did worship another God, then he's a vicious, jealous, bloodthirsty God. But you can't tell that to Christians too easily, because they think that anything that God does is righteous because it's God. And we don't have to understand why. We just have to accept. And I've never been one who could do that. Anyway, I got away from reading the Bible so much because I found a true account of the true creator of all that is. And I'm going to put into the description bar a way for you to find out about that God too. It's Walter Russell talks about him in great detail. And it's a wonderful, wonderful God with only one law. He has one law: rhythmic, balanced interchange between all opposites. And if you listen to some of the videos of me reading his books, you will see how that is what keeps everything balanced. Balance is God's method of keeping things going. Equal giving for re-giving, that sort of thing. And so I will put several of the books that I read on my channel into the description bar that Walter Russell wrote. There's the Divine Illiad I, the Divine Illiad II, The Secret of Light, A New Concept of the Universe, Atomic Suicide, and the Universal One. He's written many, many books, and I don't have all of them, but those few are very good, especially The Secret of Light. So if you get a chance, listen to those books being read, and you will get, finally, an understanding of who and what God really is. And now, some of it gets very scientific, especially in the one called the Universal One. So if you don't have a head for science, you might find that one very hard to understand. Okay. Now, what else was I going to... Oh, yeah, there's a Carey book. I will also put that one in. And it's called The Starseed Transmissions. And it happened to him that he spent some time in the wilderness, snowed in. His family was living like the Quakers do, in a wilderness area. And he was very close to nature. And he had... an experience of beings that, I don't know whether to call them beings. It was mental telepathy, I guess, to him. But they were informational units that came to him, and I'm going to read you some of that, because the part I want to read of his book to you here is the explanation, sort of the explanation of what's going on with this Mandela Effect. Now, I'm going to skip over, and it's called Singularity of Consciousness. I come, and this is speaking of this being that spoke to him and gave him this story, or this facts, whatever you want to call it. I come from the presence where there is no time, but the eternal now. I retain, even in the midst of this relationship, an awareness of this realm and of the universal being that inhabits it. I come with a message that will prove vital to you in these final days of your history. My individual identity comes into being only as I enter the context of my relationship with you. When I am no longer needed in this capacity, I will merge back into the being behind all being. There I remain in unity and fulfillment until the next impulse comes to send me on another mission. In the interim, there is no distinction between me and the source, I and others of my kind desire at this time to bring humans to this same level of awareness. I am a focus of collective human consciousness. But at this time you have little conception of what that means. You do not yet suspect what the singularity of collective human consciousness might be. You still draw identity from the present form of your expression. You feel defined and limited by flesh and bones. You are only beginning to comprehend your oneness with other forms of life. For me to tell you with these limiting definitions you have of yourself that I represent an element or a focus of your collective consciousness would actually be less accurate than to say that I am extraterrestrial. I meet the criteria of the latter term in that I do come from outside your planetary field of influence. I bring instruction to your race from the directive organ of galactic being. When you remember your true nature and begin to draw identity from the totality of your being, then it could be stated with all validity that I am an element of your own consciousness. However, at that point you will no longer perceive me as you do now. When you have awakened to the reality of your true being, you will perceive me and all my species as being inside yourself. Until then, you perceive me as being outside yourself. There is but the flimsiest of screens between your present condition and your true nature. It is our mission to assist you in bridging this gap, to awaken you from sleep, to bring you to the fulfillment of your destiny. The state of consciousness that I represent does not normally verbalize. It is difficult for me to relate what I wish to convey only through the words and concepts with which you are familiar. Your language was designed to facilitate commerce. What we put together with it, with its components, can only approximate my meaning. There is another more ancient language, more conducive to discourse on this level, but you have forgotten it. It is the universal language of light. Its transfer of information is accomplished through the actual projection of living informational units. These units are at once more specific and more inclusive than your words. They have been designed to convey organic information of concise yet comprehensive informational content. Simultaneously with this conceptual communication, you are subliminally receiving this same information through this living language of light. Though your preoccupation with words leaves you with no awareness of it at this time. My work will be complete when I have put you in touch once again with this ancient language. You have learned to allow the silencing of your thoughts and have begun to focus attention on inner vibrational frequencies. No, wait a minute, I got that wrong. When you have learned to allow the silencing of your thoughts and have begun to focus attention on the inner vibrational frequencies, you will become aware of a far more comprehensive picture of all that I am now telling you. Until such time as the life-giving information that comes to you from the source of your being is more readily accessible, I will work within the limitations of your linguistic structure and translate as accurately as I can, as I am able. Human beings have a tendency to become imprisoned in their concepts. You must remember that words and concepts can be both fallible and misleading. They are not absolutes. Do not confuse them with the realities they represent. No statement that I will make can be taken as an absolute statement. This does not mean that I am coming from a vague place. On the contrary, It means that your words are not precise enough to express the level of vibratory awareness that I am attempting to communicate through them. If we are able to get the totality of our message through to even a few individuals, cells of your collective body, these few should be able to translate this information into forms of cultural expression. Our mission is to bring a pre-fall state of awareness to all humans who are able to respond, however different they may be, whatever background they may have come from, using whatever conceptual structures seem appropriate. These individuals will then be instructed to translate this awareness into forms of informational exchange appropriate to their respective cultural situations. As this new awareness increasingly filters into everyday levels of human function, and as more and more individual human cells become aware of what is taking place, the change will accelerate exponentially. Eventually, the psychic pressure exerted by a critical mass of humanity will reach levels that are sufficient to tip the scales. At that moment, the rest of humanity will experience an instantaneous transformation of a proportion you cannot now conceive. At that time, the spell which was cast on your race thousands of years ago will be, when you plunged into the worlds of good and evil, will be shattered forever. Even now, with the healing influx of new information, the spell is beginning to lift. Even as I speak these words, the materializing force fields of bondage and limitation are beginning to lose their influence on consciousness. During this period of vibrational transformation, each one of you will have a variety of roles to play. Each of you will translate the life impulse into patterns appropriate to your environment and express this impulse in your daily living. I am now blending my consciousness with the cells of your body in order to provide you with some of the more specific information that I do occasionally relate, but I do this as little as possible. My primary function is to show you how to tap these systems of data retention for yourself. With guidance, you will learn to release your definitions of who you think you are, open yourself up to the experience of a much greater reality than you presently believe possible, and return to a level of consciousness where you will be able to communicate with us, not through cumbersome words and concepts, but directly through communion with all that is. Do you want to know more about extraterrestrials? Do you want a definition of angels? We are you, yourself, in the distant past and the distant future. We are you as you were, would have been, and still are, had you not fallen from your original state of grace. We exist in a parallel universe of non-form, experiencing what you would have experienced had you not become associated with the materializing processes. I act in this capacity as a midwife at your birth into form. I am an angel of destiny, a messenger from the stars, but I am also the reflection of your unity before and after matter. I am here to enter your consciousness, here to wake you up. Blending with you now in this communication that is also communion, I can sense a forthcoming period of union. I sense its strange and awesome realities. I feel like an explorer in some vast and uncharted land. Are you aware of the uniqueness of physical reality? I sense both pleasure and pain at my entry into your events. I sense pain at the potential I see wasted and at my own commission to verbalize, but I sense pleasure at what I am experiencing through your senses, For though your sensory channels are, in your exclusive dependence on them, your great limitation, they are also marvelous instruments of perception. They are truly your crowning virtue, as well as your tragic flaw. This is the first time that I have had the opportunity to perceive reality in this manner. I have never seen the structure of time and space reduced to such intricate and beautiful patterns. I would look out of our eyes for a while and take in the colors and the room and the trees outside the window, and delight in the curious way you perceive light as illumination. I would love to explore your world in a playful and childlike fashion. I can better understand now how you are deceived. Such a deep realm of awesome forces, the material plane. Yet, you will not be able to continue here much longer if we don't get on with the business at hand. Much that I'm now seeing will not survive many more years of human ignorance. It is important that we use this time to supply you with the information you need. It is important that we restore you as a central control mechanism of this planet to a proper state of function. Perhaps a day will come after all has been set to right again, when we can spend some time together just enjoying the wonders of creation. I would delight in an opportunity to travel about with you, seeing what you would show me out of your eyes, hearing what you hear with your ears, feeling the touch of earth on that wonderful substance that is at once both sun and stone. But now there is work to be done. We must forge the conceptual tools. Now, I'm going to end it there, but I'm going to, the conceptual tools that will set you free. And then the chapter 2 starts. But this is very, very good book. And it's called The Starseed Transmissions. And I think a lot of the answers people seek are to be found in it. I am thinking that this thing that is called the Mandela Effect is a very wonderful thing, because it's causing people to have to look at their words and have to be accountable for their words. Because the words in the Bible have been changed, and many other things as well, because there's things in movies and logos on products and all kinds of things, even physical things, buildings and where continents are, and all kinds of things are changing. It's a big deal. It really is. But a lot of people haven't awoken to it. They kind of hiding from it. I know, because I try to wake some of them up. Like the other day I was watching one of the Mandela Effects, which was the words having changed in a Charlie Chaplin, Laurel and Hardy, those comedians of yesteryear. They had a favorite line they always said, and it was, "Another fine mess you've gotten me into." Well, that's been changed. And I looked at several of their movies, and it has. They don't say that even anymore. Even in one of their episodes that's called Another Fine Mess, what they're saying now is, "Another nice mess you've gotten me into." So I listened to several of their, because you can, go to all of the, they've made videos of almost all of their little skits and programs that they put on. And when it comes to that part, which they'll say at least once in the movie, it's always now, "Another nice mess you've gotten me into." Anyway, I was telling this to someone I know, and they said, "Oh, that's not true." I said, "Yeah, it is. You have to, well, what does it matter anyway if it was true?" Well, it matters because reality is changing, and we need to realize that we're not what we think we are. But it's kind of hard, for people to want to grasp what this means. because some people think of it only in a fearful way. But I don't see it as fearful. I think it's a change is necessary, because if you've just looked around at world events and situations in our world, things are on the precipice of causing much destruction and death. And if there was another parallel reality that we jumped over into that would avoid those things from happening, maybe the fact that this is happening is something that's really changing, so that people don't have to be destroyed by these calamities that could happen. Now, don't get fearful of that. I mean, everybody's going to die someday. I don't know why it just seems so much worse if it's some huge calamity that takes thousands of people at once. I mean, eventually you're going to cross over and transit this life into the afterlife. But I think it helps when you know a few things, and I don't mean to say a few things from the Bible, because the Bible is a story about tragic events happening in the past and in the future and in the hereafter. All of it's pretty tragic for most people. Only a very select few would be saved if the Bible were true. And that would mean millions and billions of people in torment forever, which would be a terrible, terrible outcome. How could anyone believe it and then say that it's a good God that would all-powerful and all-knowing, who knew the end from the very beginning, and yet he would allow that? So, no, I can't buy into that God is a good God. So, you look at these books that I have put look at the playlist and listen to them if you want to, because it helps. It helps to understand the true nature of God. And it will maybe wake some people up as to what's going on with the Mandela Effect. It's something funny. I think it's funny. You know how in the Old Testament, when Moses went up on the mountain to get the 10 Commandments, the people made an idol, the golden calf. And when he came down, he was very mad. And God was mad, told him to call the tribe of Levi together, and they went from tent to tent killing people of their own people. They killed 3,000 of their own people at God's command. And these were their own sons and brothers and friends. And God said, because you've done this thing, I will make of you a great nation. And it's like, wow. Not a very wonderful thing. Now I've lost my point of what I was going to say. It was something about the Old Testament. But anyway, it's a very hard book. It will get you confused. It will make you not really care about the God of the Old Testament, because he was vicious and bloodthirsty and jealous. Even he had some horrible rules about a woman that was raped was to have to marry her rapist. Well, that's the awful thing. Of course, in the Bible, women are put down all the time. So read these books or listen to them being read. If you want to read them, you can do that too, because I have them on a file in my Google documents, that the files that I keep on my computer, PDF files that are easily sent to anyone who has an email address. So if you wish to read them for yourself instead of listening to them being read, just let me know, and I'll send it to you. These pictures you have been seeing going by, I've been clicking on them as I was reading. Well, this is light. Light does some strange things. It has beautiful colors in it. And what I'm doing is I'm filming with my digital camera, just a little cheap camera. I'm filming the shiny spot of light from a LED light shining on a piece of glass. And I'm finding that in shiny things, even if it's not on glass, it could be on a leaf off of a tree. And I do get these orbs from sunlight too when I go outside and film, but it's a little harder to do because you have to wait until the sun is low in the sky, so the rays of the sun are sort of slanted, because in the really bright light you don't see all the color. It takes the darkness to bring out the colors in the light. I've discovered that to be quite true. And all these pictures, that's right here in my room. I take these pictures. This is in light. This is some of the things that light does. It moves orb-like, and it fans out. It makes colorful patterns. There's even a little creature in the light that I call Carey, because I see him over and over, and he's always like dropping into one of the orbs that I'm filming. And so I take his picture a lot, but I don't know what it is. But look at this one. Light can twist in the middle and look like this. I don't understand a lot about science. I know people are always saying, what is light, a particle or a wave? Light is everything. It's what we are. And we need to understand it. So if you want to understand a little more about what light is, you can read the book, or listen to me read the book, called The Secret of Light by Walter Russell. I really do promote his books and the reading of them, or the listening to them, because he was pretty much ignored by scientists of his day, but he was very smart. There's also, I will put this one called The Man Who Tapped Into the Secrets of the Universe, which is all about Walter Russell and how his life was and all the things he did. He's an amazing man. So I've already made this pretty long, going on 33 minutes, so I'm going to just end this right here with this invitation for you to ask me for any of these books if you want them, and let me know your email address and I will send them to you right away. This is the Dove Lady, over and out.